Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Today, we are focusing on entrepreneurship, and we are so excited to have our guests today. So while we're doing the intro and waiting for everybody to join in, what I'm going to ask is in the comments, wherever you're joining from, let us know where you're joining from, your country, your city, or your province. And another thing that you can do today, because we're focusing on entrepreneurship and all the people who are running some sort of a business somewhere, this is your opportunity to advertise your business as well. So in the comments, tell us what your business is about. If your business is not yet live, but you have an idea of the business you want to start, this is your opportunity to tell us about your business. And for those who are watching to also learn about your business. So welcome, and we're going to have an amazing time today. We have the best speakers in-house today. I'm going to introduce myself first. I am Pumzile Makubo, the founder and CEO of Be Up Next, and I am excited today to have you all here. We are joined by Craig, who is the CEO of Box Commerce. If you don't know Box Commerce, you better go online now and check what Box Commerce is, especially if you are in Africa. There is no way you shouldn't be knowing about Box Commerce. The other person who's joining us is Zimkita Pala, who is a co-founder or co-owner of Top Efforts, which is a property business. And she literally, like Craig, started from the scratch and built the business all the way to where it is today. And she also runs a big network of female entrepreneurs, and that's where I met her. We also have Sad. Sad is a mentor with Be Up Next, as one of the people who are sharing their wisdom with our mentees. And he is also a salesperson, also running his own thing. Sad is currently based in the Netherlands. Craig is in South Africa. Zimkita is in South Africa as well. We are also expecting Gloria, who is in Zimbabwe, and I'm sure she'll be joining any minute now. So I'm going to give them a few minutes to introduce themselves. And as they're introducing themselves, please, in the chats, let us know who you are, where you are joining from, what business you are running or thinking about. If you have any specific questions that you wish for us to answer today, throw them in the chat and we're going to get to them. So I'm going to start with Craig to do an intro, and then we'll go to Zimkita, Sad, and if Gloria is here, she'll also do an intro.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Craig McLeod. I'm the CEO and founder of Box Commerce. We provide e-commerce in 9 countries globally. We help SMEs get online. But I've also spent a lot of time as a founder and as a venture capitalist. This is my 5th business. I've sold a few along the way. And I'm really here to help give you guidance on, what is it going to take that crazy idea of yours, raise some money, and hopefully give you some advice that'll make it a little less painful along the way.
Thank you, Craig.
Hi, my name is Zimkita, all the way from South Africa, born and bred from the dusty streets of Cape Town, from the townships. So I am here as your real estate agency that we recently opened 1 year ago. But I've been in the space of the real estate for about 6 years and a property investor over 12 years. So I am a co-founder with my son, who is 23 years old, and with my husband as well. So it is a family business, but we've got over 30 candidate property practitioners under us, and it's been going very well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sad Labit. I'm specialized in sales and B2B businesses and marketing. I worked with many companies in Turkey before and now based in Netherlands. I help businesses to promote their products or their services, and as well as starting with SMEs to work on their businesses and enhance their marketing skills.
So that's who we have in the lineup today. So we're going to hand over to Craig. One of the things about box commerce is that if you are selling goods and you are not online, maybe you don't afford to build a website from scratch and integrate payments and integrate deliveries and all of that, box commerce solves that, and it solves it beautifully for Africa. Because Craig and the team, they understand the African market and they understand the last mile delivery. You know, some of our places don't even have addresses. So box commerce solves the problems that some of the first world brands cannot solve for us. So we are going to hand over to Craig, who's going to share some wisdom. And while he's doing that, don't forget to keep the chats going. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you're joining from. We can see there's people from Uganda already. So let us know where you're joining from. Let us know your business. This is your platform to advertise your business as well. So yeah, handing over to Craig now.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the warm intro. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how do you raise money for your idea. Obviously, when Box Commerce started, it was just an idea, and sort of 7 years later, it's a X $100 million business operating in multiple countries. So I'm going to present today just some tips, some guidelines, explain how this raising thing works, and perhaps some of the other things I think you should know to make this journey a little easier. Now, when it comes to raising money, it's surprising because you only really need 10 slides in a PowerPoint to raise anything up to $10 million. And it sounds crazy, but I'm going to try and demystify that for you just a little bit. Now, the first part to understand before we understand anything else is if you are going to start your idea, firstly, don't quit your day job. Let other people pay for your success until the business is the right size that you can move across to that business. The second good piece of advice I would give is obviously don't use any of your company's resources or time. But the second piece of advice would be if you're not the technical person, get a technical co-founder. It'll save you tons of money. And this is a very hard ride, and you're going to want someone to laugh with, cry with, celebrate with. It does make it a lot easier. So let's understand how this funding thing works. So funding ideally comes in stages, and it's a life cycle really. There's the idea stage. I have an idea. I haven't really built it. I've maybe spoke to a few people who thinks they would definitely, buy this product from me if I made it, but I need to now turn that idea into a product. Now, that's called the idea stage or pre-seed stage. This is where you'll typically raise anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000, maybe even $300,000 to help you get that idea built. And for that, you will give away a percentage of your business or what we call equity. Then you've now built a product. You're starting to get your first customers on. This is really called seed. And this is really to say, hey, look, people have validated our idea. They're actually paying us money, but we need to raise some more money to really go get enough customers to turn this into a really great business. And there again, probably raising between $300,000 and maybe a maximum of $1 million, depending on what industry you're in. You would then go from there to what's called Series A. That's I've proven customers with my product. I've got good revenue coming in, but now I want to be, I want to take 30% of whichever market I'm in. And from there, that's when you start raising numbers anywhere between $2 and $10 million. Series B, you've already got great, like 30%, 40%, 50% market share. You've got a good business. You're making lots of money, but you want to do this on a much bigger scale. You want to be the next Amazon, the next Uber, whatever it might be. That's when you'd raise a Series B, and that typically is your $50 to $200 million range. In between B and when you finally sell this business or IPO, you might have more series, C, D, E, F. And with each of those, you have to remember you are giving away a portion of the business and the pie will get smaller, but the value of the pie has increased greatly. And you really want to think to yourself, do I want 100% of a grape or 30% of a watermelon? And, people like Sergey Brin, who owns Google, is very happy with his 9% of $31 billion a quarter. Now, how do you value your startup? Well, the first thing is you have to be realistic. At an idea stage, it's probably not worth more than $1 or $2 million. So you're going to give away quite a big chunk of equity, maybe 20%. You have to understand that you might be worth $1 billion in 10 years, but you're not worth that now. So you do have to be realistic. Now, when you raise this money, you will typically start by friends and families. Maybe you'll take a small loan. Maybe you'll keep your day job and let that pay for the initial costs. As you raise more and more, obviously you'll dilute more and more. But what you do have to remember is that an idea is worth zero. Many of you have heard of Uber, but you've probably never heard of Ride. Ride raised $80 million long before Uber was a thing. They built the technology that was later cannibalized into Waze for direction finding. And at some point, the founder had to admit defeat and said, well, Uber, they played dirty. They were a lot more aggressive. They marketed a lot more. And so they won. At the end of the day, your idea is actually worth nothing. Many people have the same idea. The iPod was a knockoff of another idea called the Arcos jukebox. So ideas don't really mean anything. If you can execute something to a world class, if you're looking to take on Shopify or Netflix, you have to be just as good as them. Well, that's worth 10% of your success. And then finally, your ability to go find customers, capture market, to be able to do selling, surprisingly, is the most, and marketing are the most important tasks. That's really what's going to define your success. There are also the concept of accelerators and incubators. You give us some equity, we teach you how to play the game. Don't do that. It's a waste of your time and money. You should never take time and money out of your business unless you are making money or customers. And unless it's Y Combinator, that is the only exception because you will be funded almost immediately out of FOMO. But every other one, rather focus on growing your business. Everything you need to know about this game, you could probably learn from a couple of books. So what is a deck? A deck is basically a PowerPoint or a PDF that you use to raise money. It assumes you've got a good product, you've got a good deck, but I'll teach you how to do that quickly. You understand your TAM, SAM, and SOM, so your total addressable market, how much is the inflatable kitten market worth today? Your SAM, which is essentially just how much of that addressable market could you actually service? And your SOM is a more realistic version of that where you say, well, great, the market in South Africa is worth $10 million. I can get 5% of that market realistically. So that's really what this is worth. And this also helps you build your valuation over time. Now, when we're looking to build a deck, oddly enough, whether it's $300,000 or $10 million, it only really takes 10 slides. It sounds crazy. You have to be able to explain your idea in 3 minutes or less. When you book an appointment with a VC, if they're willing to take your call, your job is to help them sell themselves and giving you money. And that's their starting position. They want to give people money, but they've got to be convinced that they're not risking other people's money. So if you get a 30-minute slot, you want to be able to explain what you do in 3 minutes so that you have the remaining 27 minutes for them to ask questions and sell themselves on your product. Your job is to get them excited about it so that they give you money. And this will typically take between 5 or 6 meetings. The more meetings you can get, the more chance of raising. A good deck has a very simple rule, 30-20-10 by Guy Kawasaki. It's a 30-point font, so you don't end up writing small novels, because what will happen is people will start reading the deck instead of connecting with you and what you're saying. So it's really just points. Your meeting is only typically 20 to 30 minutes. So when you're trying to do that, you've got to be quick. And then finally, 10 slides. If you can't convey it in 10 slides, you won't convey it in 100. Now, you won't be getting millions of dollars. Your idea is not worth billions today. Today, it's worth, how much is it making at seed? Nothing, and it's going to cost money, so it's making negative money. Series A, you're probably spending lots of money on marketing and sales, still negative money. So you might think you've got the next best idea, but remember, that's not a today thing. So be realistic. Now, the most important part, which I can't stress enough, is building a network. Unfortunately, when I walk out my door in the morning, there are not 5 VCs lurking around outside my house or the schoolyard, like waiting to pounce and give me money. You have to actually make a network. There's probably only about 4 or 5 VCs in the whole of South Africa who have any money to give, and it's very small money. So you are going to raise outside of your country. You're typically going to raise in the GCC, North America, Europe, or Asia. So you have to build a network so you can get introductions to these VCs, because typically if you just come in off the street, hi, please give me money, they're probably not going to do that. So you have to learn to network and build a network. When I first came to Joburg, I knew nobody. I'm not from here. I'm from the civilization of Cape Town. And I raised a $100 million fund. Now, how I did that was by realizing no one's going to come and give me things. I could run out and do that. You will typically speak to about 1,000 venture capitalists through the course of one business. So I have 11 investors. I've already spoken to about 600 people just to get the 11 that did say yes. So it's a numbers game. Learn to take rejection. And when someone says they don't want to fund you, don't have a sulk. Ask them, what could I have done better? What were you looking for? How can I be better for the next time? And if you do that, you'll get through the next 10 quicker and get someone on best. Now, in raising money, there is what I call the Venn diagram of startup hell. Each VC fund only has so much money to give. So if they've got a $10 million fund, they're only really going to write checks to about a size of 5% of that total. So if you see a fund says, we've got a $10 million fund, well, good luck, you're getting $500,000. The second circle is geography. They might only specialize in Turkey or South Africa or, Southeast Asia. If you're not operating in those countries, you probably won't get funded. Then it's, do they like you? Do they like your idea? Are you at the right stage? And have they not already spent all that money? And in all of those, if you think of a classic Venn diagram, the little tiny pinpoint where those all intersect, that's where you might get funded. So you have to be aware of this. So what does a deck look like? Typically, it has a title. This is just your name of your company and what you do in one sentence or less. What is the problem and opportunity will be your second slide. This is where you describe the problem. Problem is opportunity. If for some people getting coffee every day in the morning, nice and easy in less than a minute is a problem, and there are 8 million people who would pay money for that, well, that problem is worth a lot of money and therefore an opportunity. So what is the cost and what is the scale of the problem you're trying to solve? And that gives people a sense of how much money could be made if they invest in you. The value proposition is like why your solution to making coffee is better than everybody else's solution. In this case, let's say we're pitching Nespresso machines for the first time to Nestle. We then have the underlying magic. And the underlying magic is what makes your coffee maker better than anyone else's coffee maker. And this is just really to show why people would probably buy your product instead of any other product. You would then have your business model slide. And this is just really, how are you going to make money? If I'm going to give you money, I give you $1 million today. In 10 years, I'd at least like $10 million back for my investment. So you need to grow the business, to a $100 million business. In order to do that, I need to understand how you're going to make money. You then have your go-to-market plan, which is just really in a single slide, how are you going to go get those customers? And the great piece of advice, going viral is total bullshit. And I'm quoting this directly, so please don't censor me. It comes from Kawasaki. It doesn't happen. Yes, there is a huge amount of luck involved in startups, but in marketing, luck is not usually a factor. Then you have your competitor analysis slide. This just really tells me, who are you competing against? And that allows me to understand that you thought about what you do. The moment a founder comes to me raising money and says, I've got no competitors, 99.999% of the time, they are absolutely wrong. It shows me they haven't done their homework, they don't understand their own business, and they're not investable. It also shows me they wouldn't know how to tackle or defeat that opponent or see where the gaps are. Then, of course, the management team. This is who is the team you've built around you, because you don't just want one person, right? Craig is a person, despite lack of sleep, can only work 15 to 20 hours a day, and the business is not going to grow very fast with that. So you want a team of people around you that are going to help you grow really, really fast. And do they have expertise in whatever you're doing? If you're having a taxi business, do they have experience in that? If you're running a bakery, are they bakers? And this just really shows you've got people around you that can help you grow the business. And the final element is really second final element is your financial projections and metrics. If we put in this money, how are you going to spend our money as venture capitalists to show what growth. And that can then be measured. If you take a lot of money, you've got to show a lot of growth. If you don't show a lot of growth, you won't raise money the next time. And remember, you're going to raise seed A, B, C, D. Then our final slide is current accomplishments to date. Now, this isn't things like I've won app of the year or things like that. It's usually things like I've grown my business from 100 customers to 10,000 customers. We've made this much more revenue. No one cares about press releases. No one cares about LinkedIn posts. No one cares about accelerators or events. They have no meaning to a VC. It's just noise. And in VC, we care about signal way more than noise. Then let's say this all goes well. You have a conversation with a venture capitalist and they're willing to give you some money. Well, up front, when you have this conversation, the first thing you're going to ask for, what themes and geographies does your VC invest in? Are you interested in coffee machines made in South Africa? Great. How long is your process from what's called a term sheet to pay away? That means from them agreeing to give you a series of terms under which they'll invest till the money clears in your bank. With most professional VCs, once you get to a term sheet, this is typically 6 weeks. How much bank capital do they have left? Because you might have found the announcement and managed to find a friend who's good friends with the guy who owns the VC firm. They might have spent all that money already if it's an old announcement, so you got to find out if they have money. And then again, the geography, because maybe they won't back a company that's incorporated in South Africa because of legal concern, monetary risk, all these different things. Most startups only come out of 3 or 4 countries in terms of where they're incorporated. This will also save you a lot of time. Like I said, I've spoken to 680 plus investors, probably a little more than that. If you ask those questions up front, let them talk about themselves. 1, they'll like you more. But 2, you'll find out if you're absolutely wasting your time or not, in which case strike up a friendship, say, I don't think we're a good fit, but hey, we'd love to keep talking to you, tell us a bit more about yourself and build a relationship, because they might be able to refer you to a fund later on who can give you money. Your job is to learn to say no. You want to be able to accept that no and take feedback because you're going to hear it a lot. If you fail, that's okay. There's no such thing as losing. It's winning and learning. You learn way more when you lose and learn the lesson than you do from winning because, hey, you just got it right the first time. There's nothing to be learned. If you make the mistake a second time, well, that's intentional. Now, when you raise money, you're going to want to ask for 24 months runway. In other words, enough to keep the business up for 24 months. You want to start raising at 12 months again because it might take you up to a year to raise more money. But in that 24 months, you need to show performance. If you're at 100 customers, show me 10,000 customers. You're at 10,000, show me 100,000. You got to be able to show people that you've used the money well to raise more money. Now, raising is horrible. It is exhausting. It is stressful. My only advice here is the same advice you give your kids at Christmas when your child says they want that bike and they've been nagging you for months. Daddy, Daddy, I want a bike. When they get the bike, you wanted this bike, now you ride it. Now, almost done and we're open for questions. What happens when you get that money is they give you a document called a term sheet. This is not a legally binding document, but it usually sets out the terms. Now, there are lots of terms you should look for in a term sheet, things like participation, liquidity preference. There are a number of traps. So it's very important that 1, you get a lawyer to review it. And number 2, you actually understand how to read a term sheet. I have shared a link to the book. It's by a guy called Brad Felt. It's called Venture Deals, Smarter Than Your Lawyer and Your Venture Capitalist. And it just breaks out the various terms of a term sheet. And, if I'm ever back here, I can even give you a bit of a session on that. Now, bear in mind, just because you signed a term sheet doesn't mean the money will come. It's a pretty good indicator, and 80% of the time, or in Africa, 60% of the time, the money will come in that 6 weeks, but don't bank on it. So you should be talking to multiple VCs, have multiple term sheets, and take the one who actually pays. So, things you should know about being a founder. Number 1, when you raise a bunch of money, you're not going to increase your salaries. I have never met any decent founder under Series B or Series C that has a personal assistant. You're not going to suddenly wear puffy vests and speak at events. That's usually the indicator of a poor founder. Everyone thinks venture capitalists and founders, you fly around on jets, You go shopping in the middle of the day and you drive a nice fancy, sports car. Quite the opposite. You need to conserve your money, show you're good with money, make more money. 10 years from now, sure, when you've got $50 million in the bank, you can do that if that's what floats your boat. The other thing is fancy offices are a waste of time. One of our first offices was above an Indian takeaway. Yes, we had the Star Wars wallpaper and all the nice pretty things. It was by far the prettiest office, but it was something that I paid 10 grand a month for. And, that was it. You're not going to go get sleep pods and pool tables and ping pong tables. When your VC sees that, they will stop investing or even try and pull back their money. Events are a waste of money. They are good for your ego. They are bad for business. If you are going to spend some of your waking hours doing something, going to an event, you do not do it as an attendee. You do it as a speaker, because I know that Saad is really influential. He's also speaking on the panel. And if I just go, hey, buddy, let's go for a drink afterwards, we're peers, we're equals. I can get into Saad's business. But if I'm just some guy coming up, please, sir, probably not. And remember, everything you do needs to be transactional, money or customers. As I said, you don't need a PA. Your only job, the only job, is to grow the business. And remember, it's a business. A business functions on revenue. Awards are cute, events are nice, press releases are lovely. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the money you bring into business and how you grow it and whether or not you can meet your salaries at the end of the month. And that is your only job. And if you don't do that over the 2 years when you raised your first $1 million or $5 million, you will never raise another cent again. You also have to remember that founders get paid last. And one of the businesses I know, he had 21 staff before he took a salary. He kept his day job. Another founder I know quit his day job, sold it to another business, and the business only realized he worked in the Al Jazeera building when they paid him $480 million. And that's the day he quit his job. But also there have been times in my many businesses where I haven't taken a salary for a year. There are times in the business where I am one of the lowest paid employees. This is the bike that you wanted for Christmas. You get to ride it. So remember that. The other thing you got to remember is that 99.8% of all startups fail. You're going to have to be resilient. You have been given the weirdest job in the world. I'm going to build $1 billion business with no money, no resources. At least that's how you start. And you need to do it in 5 to 15 years. That is an insane thing. It is hard. Try and be a little kind to yourself. And that brings me to my last piece of advice before I talk about, before I open up for questions. Building a startup is the hardest thing you will ever do. It is the Hunger Games of life choices. It will destroy you financially. It will destroy you spiritually. It will destroy your relationships, and it will destroy you emotionally. It will destroy your health and your mental health. It is hard. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to raise money and drive around in a Tesla and do day shopping. You're going to work 180 hours a week, and there aren't even that many hours in a week. You are going to do things you don't want to do at all times. You're going to do the worst parts of being the business. I think Elon Musk said it well. While I don't agree with most of his views on life, I do agree with his views on business. And here it is. Being the CEO is a combination of eating broken glass and staring into the abyss. People don't come to you with the good stuff. They come to you with the problems. You are always worried about hiring staff, firing staff, finding money to pay staff, raising money. Something's gone down. Something's broken. For whatever reason, something's not working. You get to deal with none of the fun stuff or the horrible stuff. Your job is to empower your staff to deal with the fun stuff and succeed. It is lonely. It is horrible. It is traumatic. And most time when people say they want to start a business, I want to give them a hug and say, run while you still can. But if you want this, if you believe in yourself, you can absolutely succeed. But just remember, it is hard. Nothing will bring you more trauma over the next 10 years than running your own business. So be kind to yourself, be extra kind to your team, and be kind to your investors, because they have, and I've been on both sides of the table, they've given you money. It's up to you to make it work. They've backed you. They've believed in you. 2 years from now, you're going to want more money. Those investors, they invested a certain size. They're not going to have more money to give you. You're going to have to go out and find more money again. Remember who backed you. Remember who was kind to you. Remember who supported you. It will make a big difference in your outcomes. And good luck, because it is a hard thing. I've had, like I said, 5 technology businesses, 4 other businesses. Whether it was a nightclub, a dive club, a dive school, an agency with 60 staff, tech businesses, one we sold to Google. All of these things, they were equally hard, equally traumatic, and they will teach you a lot of things if you're willing to learn. So my best advice is also good luck. So I will stop there. Hopefully I'm still in time. I believe I am. And we can open for questions.
I don't think it's a question, but it's a motivation. Your last motivation, it's what I really needed to hear. Be kind to yourself. There are times that you're not even going to get a salary. So sometimes I have found myself in that same spot where I cry. And my kids would be like, why don't you go back to the same job that used to pay you? Because ever since you've been your own boss, you always say you don't have money. So I really leverage from what you said. And I'm so grateful that I'm listening to these words. It's kind of like an encouragement dose for me as well. Thank you.
I think the best story I can give you with that, and I'll be vulnerable, honest. I remember one December sitting at home over Christmas, literally in the dark, in a heap, in my lounge, crying, sobbing away. I mean, ugly tears. We'd done a huge deal. I mean, I'd done my job. I'd done everything right. We delivered a massive project for an incredibly large corporation who I won't name. Someone went on leave, and they owed us 40 million rand, and we weren't going to get paid, and I couldn't pay my staff over Christmas. And, I sold the car, I sold a bunch of stuff, I made a plan. But you will have these moments, and that's probably another good piece of advice. Big business will kill you a lot faster than small business. The big deals you have to be wary of, have a contract, do all that stuff right. And I can also say, like you said, your friend said, you never have any money, you never have this. The other problem is you're also always working. I have there's a corner in my room with random gifts for birthdays I've missed, weddings I've missed, because I'm working. I can't allow myself to take 5 hours out to go be a human being, because if I don't do the worst parts of the business, they might kill the business. And that makes it hard to be kind to yourself, I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Craig. And what you have shared is it's eye-opening, especially for those who are wanting to start businesses and those who are already in business and they're thinking that they are doing it the wrong way. So hearing it from other entrepreneurs that it is normal to go through these moments. I remember a conversation with my mentor, and he was like, how are things going? And in that conversation, all I said was, I have no idea what I'm doing. And he said, then you are doing it right. So entrepreneurship gets to that space or to that point where things are not clear, but you know that your vision is solid. So there are questions that are coming by online, but before I take those questions, I'm going to ask you one question. When we talk about funding, and I think that this is one of the things that we don't know much about, right? A lot of people bootstrap and take loans from the bank or loans from family. So when we're talking about getting like proper funding for your business, the two questions I have is, at what point do you know that now I need to start looking for funding? The second question is, how do you deal with the no? One of the things you said earlier was that you got more no's than yeses, right? So how do you deal with the no so it doesn't break your spirit and you just keep moving forward?
Certainly. So how do you know when you should raise funding? You validated an idea. In other words, you understand the nature of the business really well, either through experience or for customer research. You validated that people will pay you money for it. There's easy ways to do that. You hang around at coffee shops and you ask people, hey, can I ask you a couple of questions? I'll pay for your coffee. And you really just want a handful of questions. Is this thing a problem for you? Would you pay money to solve this problem? How is this problem worth to you if it could be solved? What would influence how you buy this? How would you want this delivered? Do you want it airbust in a flying blimp, or it must be delivered digitally. And if I could solve these four things, if I could solve all of these four things for you, would you buy it from me at this price? And if they say yes, you've got a business. You need 100 people to say yes. Now let's talk about no's. Now, in life, if you don't ask, you don't get. But there is also the risk of no. You know, you all remember that first true love. Hi, will you go to a movie with me, or will you dance with me? Or I think men are quite good at this because they face it continuously throughout their existence, some with less grace than others. But you're willing to ask. What makes a difference is curiosity and character. I don't mind that I get a no. I'm curious to know how we got to know. And I have the character to know that I'm never going to be the best. I'm never going to know anything. In fact, the better you get at anything, the more you realize you don't know. It's the upper end of something called Dunning-Kruger. Have you ever met people who don't know what they're doing and they're really confident? If you're doing this really well, that's the low functioning form of Dunning-Kruger. I know everything, but they know nothing. And on the high end, when you're really good at what you do and you're really passionate, you should be filled. You should be racked with doubt. You should be thinking about all the things you're still not doing right. And if you're doing that, that's probably a good sign that you're curious and you have some character. And you're going to be willing to work on it. You know, if I think about no's I've got, some gave me really great advice on how to better tell the story of my business so people invest. Others came back and invested later because they wanted to see a bit of performance. But if I'd just gone no, sulked, never talked to them again, I wouldn't have got that $2 million. And also, look, it's imagine you are walking in Pick and Pay and someone walks up to you and says, hi, can I have 100 Rand? Now, okay, if I'm in the means to, fine, I'll help someone. But if that happened to you with every five seconds, you aisle to aisle, 5 people stopped you, you're going to say no. And that's a VC's job as well. Is everyone saying, please sir, give me money for no particular reason. It's understandable that they're not going to give it to everyone. It's also understandable that if you've only raised $10 million, you're probably only going to invest in 10 companies and save a little money for follow-on and other things. So you need to go into this imagining that you are going to walk up to a supermodel who has never met you and say, hey, fancy a date. And you have to accept that she might say no, and you graciously go off and find the next most attractive supermodel. Or maybe she says yes. You've got no downside. If they say yes, you've got money. If they say no, they will give you advice that brings you one step closer to money, at least if you keep that outlook.
Thank you so much, Craig. We're going to take one question from Abigaba. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right, who's on LinkedIn. The question is, how do you build a network as a starter who is nobody? So once Craig has answered that question, we're going to hand over to Zimkita, who is actually going to go into the whole network conversation. But first, Craig, maybe let's answer Angelina Abigaba.
Certainly. So despite the good diction, because I had a very uptight British grandmother, whom knows me well in a personal capacity, I'm the least appropriate person for work. I grew up particularly poor. I did not go to the right schools. I did not have the right network. When I came to Joburg, I knew nobody. I literally came here on a whim because I started dating someone. How do you build that network? Well, if you don't come from the kind of high school that people will still keep telling you they went to when they're 50 years old, then you're going to have to make friends. You can attend events to socialize, but again, with intent, money or customers, not just to go be around some silly event. You can talk to your friends. Find out more about everyone you meet. When I meet people, I ask them what they do and what they're passionate about. I use what they're passionate about to get to know them as a person so that we build trust. Then I ask them what they do. And then I remember that, and later it might be relevant. And then I tell them about what I do, after I let them talk about themselves first, same as a VC meeting. And then you build a rapport, and then, they might know the CEO of a venture capital firm, or they might know a startup that's been funded. And if a startup who's been funded introduces you to a VC, they're willing to take your call. But you have to be willing to be social, and that's hard. I'm autistic, I'm introverted. After this, I'll go lie in a corner and play with my cat and not talk to humans for another 10 hours. But you have to be willing to do that, because no one's standing outside your house just waiting till you go, oh, there you are. Here's all that money I wanted to give you for free. You have to be willing to network. And it is just like raising, it's a numbers game. You want to go meet 1,000 people because at different stages in your life, almost all of them will be useful. All people have value. It's up to you to pay enough attention and interest to understand them to figure out where that value is. But I have people, there's someone now who I've known for 7 years, now wants to put $20 million into something I'm doing. But over that time, I've never asked them for money. We've been good friends. There was just a good fit. And over time it came. The other day, I had a problem with something. I needed someone to help. Well, I've got friends who are doctors. They could easily help understand what was going on with this other person in need. So meet as many people as you can. Show an interest in them first. Invest in them first. Understand how they fit in. Tell them about yourself. And most people are good. They are willing to help. But you have to give first before you get. Same with your staff, same with your investors. You set the tone, you set the relationship. And if you can learn that and then do that 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 3,000 times, you will very quickly get a network. I was in Joburg 6 months by the time I'd started raising the fund. By month 9, I'd raised $100 million. And that's knowing no one, not going to a fancy school. I'm middle-class white trash. I went to a government school. We had one car at the best of times. I am not the poster child for someone who is meaningful, relevant, had any advantage in life. In fact, I started my life off in matric, failing matric, and with a father who was paralyzed, and I'd failed matric because I was working side jobs to keep our family afloat. So I started my life with 3 million Rand in debt that I had no way how to pay. And guess what? When you don't have an option, you figure it out. So don't think of yourself as nothing. Think about what you want to be and work your way to where you deserve to be.
Thank you so much, Craig. I hope that later on we have time, because I want to go back to the question William is asking, like, how do you mean building a startup can drain one spiritually, physically, and more? But we'll come back to that at the end when we have time. We'll go back to everybody's questions. We're going to hand over to Zimkita, who's going to talk a little bit more about the power of networking and take it from there. Thank you, Craig. Zimkita, you are on. If you are sharing anything, let me know so I can add it.
No, I'm not sharing anything. Thank you, Pumi, for this opportunity. Good evening, everybody. I am audible, hey?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. The power of networking. Mpumi says I do this every day, but for somehow, when the question struck me this evening, I'm like, whoa, what do I talk about? But as I was preparing, it really is a natural thing. And I think it stems out, I'm not sure if it's a quote or a verse, but you're not an island, no one is an island. You need to be amongst a community. It goes same as the tree. A tree can be planted, but if it doesn't have the light, if it doesn't have the water, especially the ones that are in our homes, they need all of those resources for them to be able to actually function. So I think it's the same that goes for us. And how I actually saw the power of network, it was during COVID, when everybody now was isolated, and I moved into this new area. I knew no one, and I felt to myself, I just started in the real estate industry, and all of a sudden now we are told you can't work with anyone and you just have to stay at home. And I felt to myself, how then do I make it? How do I thrive? You can't see clients, you can't do anything. And just by going online, checking other realtors that were online, only option I had was to actually start an online marketing group, which started with 4 ladies. And today we've got over 200 ladies that are there in the group and who are selling different, owning different businesses. I then later moved from there, where I would be called for speaking engagements, and I mentor about 30 UCT youth, where I also give them the idea of, yes, we will study, but what happens after you study? Are you just going to be looking for a job with the rate of unemployment in South Africa? And my position with them now is getting them ready, even for job readiness, getting them ready for the new market. So every time they will submit their profiles, I'll go through and I will be able to actually say, doesn't look like the angle that you're coming in for this job is correct. Why not try this one? Because at the end of the day, these young people are vulnerable. They need guidance. And I do that once a week. I meet up with them. But basically, I've got just 7 points about networking. And as an extrovert, you cannot not talk. When I go to Pick and Pay, I greet even the salesperson. At the checkout, I greet and I talk. And I make sure that I leverage from those people, because at the end of the day, they will remember that there's that lady from that company that always comes here wearing her t-shirt. She greets us, and there was somebody that passed by, and that is your network. That is where you actually monetize from, just by you saying hi. So I'm an extrovert. I'm the yellow in the room. I will make sure that when I enter that event, I would have greeted everyone, whether, and I'm not always there to sell a product. And I think sometimes we go into networks just because we want to sell a product, and we don't really get to know who is our neighbors. And that is why when I was during COVID, sitting in my house, I felt this is not nice. I can't even buy bread. Is there anyone baking in the neighborhood that I could buy bread from? That I don't need to go to Pick and Pay, because going to Pick and Pay, it was a mission to during COVID times. And there is where we actually network with other ladies who say, I'm selling bread, you can come and collect from mine, or whatever. They would leave it in the post box, because those were the days. Because networking ultimately opens you to doors. And when it opens you to doors, it's things that you never know. I think Pume recently now was talking about, there's this vision that you have. And this vision, it's just from a small caterpillar. But as you are growing with this vision and you are aligned with other people who are entrepreneurs in the room, things start to actually take form, things start to shape up. When I came into real estate, I only thought of sales. Little did I know what other avenues will come, because in the network online groups, questions will be posed. I'm going home for Christmas. And then I saw a gap in the market. Can I um, Airbnb your property if you are home, because they would like to leave keys with me. But I mean, if you're leaving keys with me for me to watch over, why don't actually I monetize your property? By the time that you come back from your December holidays, you actually come back to your home that I've taken care of as your neighbor, but at the same time, there's money in your bank. So I've realized that my business has grown into different departments because of the community that I am surrounded in. So, yes, I'm exposed to different markets. There's partnership, there's collaborations. You realize that, oh, okay, I need a garden service. Why can't I ask from the same group? And the same gardener, he then refers you to another property that he may be actually doing garden service for, and he will know that, you know what, here is someone that I work with. So I just want to say that this is an opportunity for open doors, and they don't close. They are unlimited doors that you are going to open yourself to. And also, you build trust, you build credibility. And one thing that I've always said, every day have something, especially about your business, that you are communicating to your online market. For example, today interest rate went down. Boom, I'm the first one to post that, because that is my area. Yesterday, I was with another bank and I shared a little bit of that information on my group. I was talking about the Department of Human Settlement with one of my stakeholders. Immediately when I came out, I looked into how can I share that information. So you become known that this is our expert person when it comes to areas of this type of business. We trust that she will always give us good source of information, reputable information. There are other people in the business who will be tax practitioners, and you will know once they say something, all of us lean towards that person. So network is not just attending events, as our previous a speaker said. Sometimes the events can waste time. Hey, like I'm being honest. You drive, there's an hour. You get there 2-3 hours. For me, 1 o'clock. I have not made. I've met them and I've talked to them, but hey, time is killing me because now I haven't done my admin. I don't have an admin person. I don't have a PA. There may be a general admin person who's a support system for other people, but I haven't made any sales. So I don't like to sit long on network events. I will go when I know that, you know what, I'm done. There are times that, sorry about that, I'm late for an event because I woke up 5 o'clock. I was busy pushing invoices, and then the event starts at 8. I'll be there at 9 because for me, it's important that I make sure that I have serviced that client that is asking me for an invoice, or that client that was asking me for more spec on.
I think we have lost Zimkita. Okay, I think we have lost Zimkita for now. So Gloria has joined us online, and we are. Zimkita, let us know when you are back. Gloria has joined us online. She's the one that we haven't introduced yet. Thank you, Gloria, for joining us. She's one of our mentees at Be Up Next. So while we wait for Zimkita to come back online, one of the things that I wanted to share, because I've worked with both Craig and Zimkita, is that one of the major things that I learned from Craig is that running a business, being a CEO, is actually the lowest position in the business, especially if you are a startup. You do all the jobs nobody really wants to do. And I think that was one of the humbling experiences that I learned from Craig. And normally, I think I also wrote on my LinkedIn that some of the lessons I learned from him, it's stuff that I'm not even getting from my MBA, right? It's practical lessons about how to run a business a better way. And with Zimkita, I met Zimkita in Cape Town. I moved to Cape Town. Also, when I got there, I didn't know anybody. And I started a business. And when I was servicing one of the clients, she was like, "Are you in the business network?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I didn't even know there's a business network." And she's like, "Give me your number. I'll add you to the business network." So that's how you build that network. When people invite you, when you are servicing people, stop a little bit, talk to them, understand their problems, understand what they are doing, and understand how you can work together, right? So that is basically what it is in terms of networking. I see Simkita is back. Let's add her.
Sorry about
Are you
that.
back, Simkita?
Yes. Technology today is not on my side. Sorry, where was I? I think I was talking about building trust and credibility.
Yes.
Yes, and I mean, you just want to be a reputable source of energy. You just want to be there and known for your industry. And sometimes, yes, you need to make money and collaborate. Sometimes we lose the vision. We find that in these network sessions, someone else is selling something profitable. Appealing to us as the business community, don't divert. Only diversify if the products are aligned, especially when you're starting, because now you are known for selling houses. Immediately now there's a car you saw that you could actually make profit of a car. Now you are selling a car. This baby, for example, our business is 1 year old, and I really want that to come out. I'm capable of doing other businesses, but you're just going to confuse your market, your audience, and you're going to build an inconsistency whether, hey, does she know, does she not know? So I really want to say to us as communities who are starting out, I mean, my business is still teething. Again, I'm the one who doesn't bring in salary at home. There are days that I do not have, but I'm so grateful that at the end of the day that staff is paid, and I rather don't have nothing, because these businesses are built around our communities. And when you don't pay your staff, you know what they're going to say? Ah, there goes a black business. She ate up all of our money. So I do not want to have that reputation. I rather have zero than not to pay anybody else, because I believe that they've worked for what they have. So I mustn't make my problems their problems. So I'd rather be the one on a minus, but to actually pay the commission that is due to that person immediately, because I just do not want that name that's going to go there. Instigators there are so many people that can just, you do something wrong and they've been waiting for you, and your business can go down the line so ugly, because that is what the enemy has been looking. In as much as we do the SWOT analysis, where we've got our strength and we've got all of these things, we need to realize that you've got internal clients that first are your staff members, and when you treat them well, they can also continue to market the brand even without them. Because my type of business that I'm running, all of the candidates, they actually must market their own business, meaning that they are entrepreneurs in their own space as real estate agents. So you don't want to carry a brand name that's going to have a bad taste on people's mouth. Yeah. So with the network, the business grows because the name is there, visibility. I've tried also to learn some Canva, so that I do not need to always ask for help. How do you write this? And then use the logo. So as a business person, you find yourself now, even if you don't know how to do it, you need to learn, so that every now and again, you can make sure that you market your business at least once a day. You can have a motivation talk, but later make sure that anything relating about your business is out there, even if it's the same target market on your socials, on your social medias, on your status, on your business networks. Try to touch every business network, because there's a reason that you exist in those communities. So I don't think we are doing justice when we are quiet. So consistency is key. Do not keep quiet and yet you are part of a network. There's a reason why you came there. You are not there to read other people's posters. You are there to make sure that your business, and I always say your business is your baby. You are the one who's responsible for that business. And what I've realized about the networks, they also have given me more insights to industry knowledge. They've given me more insights also to other industry related. For example, I learn a lot from our business network, from our tax practitioners. They share quite good information that I also need to take for my business as well. For example, if a client makes over a profit of 2 million, and they're not South African, they are tax gains, and I always take from those information. If a client is um, self-employed and they want to apply for a bond, what are the financial statements, why are they necessary? And when I speak to my clients who are applying using their bond, applying for a bond using their companies, I actually can refer them back to the tax practitioner to say, can you help me with my client who needs to be aligned and to put her paperwork into order for them to actually, the bank, to award them with a bond. So that is why you need that community as well. And there's also a lot of support systems in these networks. Again, it goes to say that you are not alone. You are not an island. You need people who are not employees. Like, for example, when I was in business, when I was in corporate, I used to sit in the tea room with my other colleagues. Now that I'm in business, I want to sit with other people who are talking the same language and the same jargon that I am. I want to hear those things to say, hey, it's tax returns, hey, it's annual returns. You know, those are the type of things I want to be surrounded with. I want to be motivated when times are tough. I want to hear that motivation to say, do not give up. Remember your why. Your why is the one that's keeping you alive. So in our business network, we have got a rule. Before 8 o'clock, we share an inspirational motivation, scripture, word, whatever it is to boost the day, to say that before you do anything, just get your energy, get your spiritual life intact. The first speaker talked about how it is that business can also drain you emotionally, spiritually. It can even take you out of your circles. I mean, I had a season where my family, where I come from, it was like I am against them, but I'm not against them. It's just that in the season that I am right now, I'm not so much into family reunions, you know. Not that I don't say I don't have time. I can send the money for that event that they have, but sometimes I can't really go because the business needs me right now. So Christmas time for me, I'm not around any family members because that is when our heartbeat of our business is actually thriving, because we do short-term rentals, we do Airbnbs, so that I can't go home during Christmas. So they've actually had to realize that, you know what, we will enjoy her when she's around, but other than that, she's still our daughter, she's still our sister. And you actually gain a lot from your peers. As the first speaker was speaking, I was like, oh, you know what, brother, you are just talking to me right now. You're the brother that I need, because I'm surrounded by sisters. But hearing a brother talk like that, to say this is what we go through. And while you were talking, my husband was also in the room, and he kept on saying, yeah, you see why I can't pay you. And I'm like, yeah, I see. But it helps, because that's the same energy that we need. And I also realize that we get encouraged, we get to grow. You know, you hear different perspectives from other people when you are in your network. Your network is your net value. You have got a lot of strategies that can come out during this time, and you don't overlook why are you there. There's a reason from that you will learn. You know, I'm in a group where other people will sell perfumes, and they will strategically position their perfumes. For example, the perfume will be 195, but right now they are saying two for 300. So I've learned quite a lot of, you know, the seasonal discounts where everybody is doing things and sharpening their skills. So there's quite a lot that you learn from. And last but not least, you generate referrals. You know how I thrive from referrals? I even give my referrals an incentive. So you won't walk out and say, Zim, here's a seller or here's a buyer. If the deal goes well, I'm definitely going to reward you. Whatever way that I do, I give referral incentive. And all of my friends, they know me that when it comes to referrals, Uzimkita will give you something. So that is the powerful thing about being in a network and marketing your business. You will not run dry. Because I'm in a property zoning business, I'm doing sales, I'm doing rentals, I'm doing Airbnbs, I'm even doing facility management, because it has actually also our business has also grown into that length as well. So you find myself that I'm everywhere, but I make sure that every day we invoice. That is the heartbeat of the business, that there must be one, even if the invoice is going to be 10,000 Rand for a rental, but there must be something. And I always say to my business partners, my husband and my son, we are not closed shop. You might not have made a business today, but someone has made an inquiry. Thank God for the pulse of our business that is still active, that is still alive, that people are still knowing that we are existing. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Zimkita, and thank you for what you have shared. What we have learned so far from both speakers is that you cannot start and run a business on your own. You need people around you. You need a network. And also the other thing we have learned is that the bosses eat last. So everybody else gets their share. You as the founder, you get the last piece of the cake, if there's any left, right? So, and the other thing that we have learned is that irrespective of how introverted you are, to run a business, you need to be out there. Like people who know me know that I'm very introverted, but here I am on a live thing. And afterwards, I need to go hide for the next 24 hours so I can get more energy. So, Zimkita, thank you so much. I'm going to skip the questions for now. If you have questions, please do throw them in the chat. We are going to get to them at the end. I'm just cognizant of time. And I can see there's some questions that are coming on. We are going to get to this towards the end. Let's just give Saad a bit of time to talk about sales and to talk about his journey as a mentor. I know some of you are on this call and you don't understand what Be Up Next is all about. We are about building a community. We are about mentoring people so that they can get to their best. We understand that certain things you cannot do on your own. And we also understand that, especially in entrepreneurship, your network needs to be people who are above you. When I mean above you, I mean people who have achieved more than you, who have gone through that path that you are going, who can hold your hand when you want to give up. So that's what Be Up Next is about. We focus on graduates where we give them career skills. We focus on entrepreneurship where there's a program you can join, you get partnered with a mentor. I am the founder of Be Up Next, but I'm also a mentee. I have a mentor in the program who has stretched me in ways that I never knew I was capable. He's introduced me to people that without him I wouldn't have met, to be quite honest. I found myself having conversations that I've never even thought about, where I actually doubt myself and I ask him, what should I say next in this conversation, right? So that's what mentorship is about. It's about having that community, having the people who have done what you are wanting to do, helping you, holding your hand. Like what Craig mentioned earlier, that you meet people, they introduce you to people, and later on, those people are the ones that actually are holding your hand and are helping you through, right? So that's what Be Up Next is about. But we're going to let Saj talk a little bit about sales. You cannot run a business if you cannot sell. The heart and soul of business is being able to sell. If you have a great idea, but you cannot sell whatever it is that your business is doing, then you are doomed to fail. So we're going to allow Saj to share a bit about sales. And also once you're done, Saj, just maybe talk a little bit about mentorship, what brought you to Be Up Next, and how have you found your journey as a mentor. And yeah, let's hear from Saj. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us about your business. We are interested in you.
Okay, so thank you so much. Actually, it was very inspiring to hear all of these conversations. I'm so happy to be part of this community. First of all, I find what Craig said about the entrepreneurship in general is very up to the point, very accurate, very realistic, which is very important when you're starting your own business, to find someone who's telling you the bitter truth before the sweet dream. And I was very inspired by Zimkita for what she said about the reality of importance of networking. And of course, that running a business is not an invitation for having comfort life. On the opposite, it means that all the burdens is on your shoulders and you have to take care of everything. So those are very important lessons for anybody who's trying to consider having entrepreneurship. And me, as one who is always specialized in sales, always looked for the aspect of sales and marketing. When I saw first the the theme of this webinar, which is digitalization in Africa. I really find it very insightful, because if you anybody who lives in Africa or having any interaction with an African country or in Africa in general will realize that Africa is now the focus part of businesses, and we see a lot of companies, big companies, trying to go to Africa to do business there because of all these countries who have a fast growth economies. So that have been said, I think the importance here that the local people, the people actually living in Africa, to do their own business, to grow their own business, to go have it more scalable as it should be, despite all the challenges that are currently in Africa. So that has been said, and from sales-wise, let's get to the business. So we did what Greg said, and we got the fund. Now let's try to sell the goods we have or the service we do. First of all, actually, what is digital? How is digitalization is important for this matter? Digitalization is actually now no longer an optional. No matter how small business you are or big business you are, if you want to do sales, if you want to do marketing, you cannot compete unless you are on the digital market. Definitely, it's your competitive advantage. It's your friend. It's your buddy. No matter how big or small the business you have. So you only simply need even a simple smartphone, and you as an entrepreneur, you can always automate your marketing. You can do the sharing of your story, of your service that you are doing, or the business you are running, or the goods you are trying to sell. You can manage customers, which is very important when you are working in sales, when you have a business. So by managing customers, you are talking about checking the reviews, after sales services, and trying to be as fast as possible in the service. Because let's face it, we are in this very competitive milieu of economy. If you are not fast enough to respond to the need, the next time you will not have the sales. As simple as that. That's not been said. Of course, as any sales, you are looking for benefits. So you have to accept, you can accept payments through digitalization. Accepting payments, of course, can be difficult in many African countries. And having it digitalized is actually the key to make it more transparent, more easier, and definitely smoother. Also, you can launch your own online stores, which is definitely less costly than opening a physical store, as you of course know, and you can run it much easier and smoother in this way. One more important key about it is actually that you have access to global markets. Global markets were closed to many African countries, African businesses for so long time, but not anymore. With the digital era that we are living in, having interaction with a lot of businesses or customers or supply chains around the world is now so easy. And this is very important when you are doing any kind of business. So you can receive very competitive offers for your service, or if you are in need of some raw materials for your business, then you can find it easily in the digital world. Much more important also that you can find or check, actually analyzing the sales trends. Sales trends is very important to you in the validation phase of your business and in general as well. So when you are checking what are the services that you can start with, for example, when you are trying to validate your idea, it is very important to use the digital tools that we have, such, for example, ads, landing pages, so even social media like Instagram or TikTok or any other tools that you come in hand to be able to check what is the market in need at the moment, and how your service is going to be met, or your platform, or whether it's your goods or commodity that you are trying to promote. And also
Sir,
you can, yes?
Sorry to disturb you. You
Yes.
are frozen on our side, so I'm not sure if you may be using multiple screens or something. We're not getting video feed from your end.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Is it now?
No, it's probably maybe something else, but you can go ahead. We can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay, because I can see here it's lighting. I'm sorry about that. So that's been said, there's also, aside from that, the digital tools, they allow small businesses to operate like much larger ones. That was nearly impossible before, but not anymore. Because with the digital tools that we have now in hands, we are able to grow faster with much lower costs as they used to be before. We have also the ability of creating predictable systems, which is very, very important and crucial in the African market, in many, many industries. Some of them, for example, let's say the traditional industries, such as agriculture, for example, or other ones. You can also reach the customers beyond your region. So you don't have to, you can have the idea as in a small community, but you can always scale it to have it bigger through technology and through digital marketing. That have been said, we all know that physical infrastructures can be limited in Africa, but the digital infrastructure is becoming your real asset at this point, because regardless to whatever place you are in Africa, in South Africa or any other African country, with the digital market and with the digital platforms that we have, you are not alone anymore. You are accessible, you are able to reach, and you are reachable at the same time. And this interaction is creating the sales and creating the profits. So one of the entrepreneurs, when they are trying to think about sales, is that some of them, they make this mistake that thinking of the idea they liked. For example, they find an idea in their head, or they find a good somewhere in the world, and they say, oh, okay, I like this good. I like this cup of coffee. I like this mug. I like this idea. I like this platform. I think I can do it, and I think it will be successful. But this is all an assumption, and this is not sufficient to start a business, whatever it is this business about. So in order to make sure that actually your business is going to be profitable, you are going to be able to sell your idea or your commodity while you are starting the entrepreneurship. It's very important to do the validation phase. And validation phase is simply coming from the point is to check in your surrounding. Am I able to sell this idea? Am I able to sell these goods? And how is that can be done through digital marketing? It's very simple. We are all seeing that all sort of businesses are opening on social media. This is very important. This is very cheap, very accessible, and you can definitely focus it on specific demographic parts where you see the needs or see the idea that's going to be more profitable at that point. You can run a small ads even with a very considerable cost and see are people really interested in or not. You can check some Google Forms to see if it's like if your prices are going to be compatible. Check it around, like, is it really what I'm doing? If I'm selling this cup of coffee for $2, are they going to be sell? Or if I sell it for $1.5 and then I'm going to be selling more or not? So these are all tools in your hands before you start your idea, before you start your business, to see if it's going to be successful or not. And that's saving you later cost and time and efforts, which are very important as an entrepreneur. One of other things that I think important that I see while talking to people living in Africa, having interaction with African countries, is that always complaining about the challenges they have in Africa. We all know that we were just talking actually before the session. Okay, you go to UAE, they have a better digital world, they have better infrastructure, and etc., etc. I myself, during my professional life, I had faced a lot of difficulties working with companies in African countries, in Cameroon, in Madagascar, in Mauritius, or other countries as well, in Ethiopia. And I understand that it's not easy. It's a very difficult and challenging place there to do business. But I always think that this is exactly what business needs. Because think about it, if you are in a place where you have no problem, then what is the solution you are providing? Where is your entrepreneurship? So all these questions are unfinished businesses. All these problems are waiting for someone to solve it for them. We heard the example of Uber, very simple example and very good one, actually. It's solving the question of traffic. Question is there, problem is there, and here is a simple solution through digital platforms. And there are many, many other problems and challenges that can be solved. We see a lot of examples in Africa as well done in this matter. For example, payments. We all struggle when it comes to payments, bank transactions, formalities, paperwork, especially when you do export or import. This is a serious issue about it. It's much easier when you are doing services, but still, if you are dealing with commodities, this is a serious issue. So we see a lot of people who are actually solved this problem and worked on it, and that's also an unfinished business. For example, you can do the sales based on this. So you have the idea, you validate it, and then you turn it into a sales, into a profitable idea. So, for example, Flutterwave in Nigeria, that was an example where we saw that the problem and the struggle of the payments for the small businesses turned into a platform. And now they are one of the first, I think, unicorns in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Another question you can talk about here or such an example that, for example, the logistics is an issue when it comes to sales, because you are shipping the goods or you are receiving the goods and you face problems and struggle with it. And that also can be turned into actually another business idea. So tell me how. Okay, give me the idea. Okay, very simple. Making a platform that actually connect the truck drivers directly with the business owners, small businesses, and then you can see reviews, and of course you can find a solution for your problem. So there are many of these ideas that can be turned into a very profitable sales issue. So from sales wise, this is your point, this is your idea to turn the difficulties, the challenges you are facing into profit. We see a lot of, for example, issues about trust issues with the market. Unfortunately, this is a synchronized question, chronicle question in the African market. And we see unreliable suppliers. For example, today you are able to reach that supplier, tomorrow you are not. And this is an issue, a big issue when you are trying to maintain your supply chain. So again, this is an opportunity because you can always create some app, some platform, some connection. So you have transparent pricing, some escrow payments, and you check customer reviews and so on. This way you are turning the challenges you are facing into the profitable ideas. So how do I do my own sales through digital world? I do my sales through digital world easier by using the tools provided. A very good point that Zinkita was just mentioning, like, for example, she talks about Canva. Yes, Canva is one of good tools to build your brand, to build your logo. And that's really important when you are trying to start to grow your business. And another things you can do, there are WhatsApp Business, there are PayFast, there are Flutterwave for your payments, there are Shopify's, there are Canva. I'm not trying to, of course, promote them, but just giving examples. So all these tools are in our hand to ensure that we are able to get to the customer in an easy way, in a direct way, removing that the idea is that we are not able to reach exact customers at the point, but we are able that to identify our target customers at that point. So all these tools are there for us to help us in scaling our business. So we could see that the other stories that we can hear about in Africa, for example. Maybe you heard about it, Tigwa. Tigwa food is Twiga food. Sorry, Twiga food is actually one of the great ideas that turned sales of it's very traditional industry such as agriculture in Africa, turned it into a digitalized world by creating the platform that's connecting the farmers and the supply and the retailers directly and cutting out the middleman from it. This is a very great example, and there are many possibilities there to do in this way. I can tell you from my own experience, I was working with a company, and we're trying to promote their goods in Africa. And one of the Ethiopian companies agreed on a big deal. We're talking about more than $20 million deal. So at this point, we are about to close the deal, and then we realized that the company was in Turkey, and then we realized that they are not able to use dollars or euro to pay us. So they suggested that if we can accept local currency, and that was, of course, being a Turkish company is not a possibility. So what we did, we had to think out of we had to think about it out of the oh, excuse me, am I still invisible?
You are still frozen, my good sir.
Oh,
you're still frozen, but we heard you. Okay, we heard all your points.
Okay, so what we did at this point with this company is that we said, okay, we have an idea for you. How about instead of you paying us in money, you can pay us with a finished product, and we will sell and promote your product instead of actually taking money, because obviously that was not a possibility. So that challenge turned into a win-win situation between us, we as a supplier, they as a customer, and we actually could also add profit to their own goods that we took as a payment for our raw materials as well. So there are many possibilities you can do in sales using digitalization in this aspect. Thank you.
Great. And then, apologies. I just wanted to pick up on one of Saad's point. When we start to think about doing business in emerging markets, so we currently do business in South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Indonesia, many different places. And the thought in technology is that you can build one thing and sell it globally. This is not always the case, but it's actually a superpower. And you remember earlier when I was speaking, I said one of the 4 questions was, how would you like this delivered? What way works for you? What is the means I could provide this product? One of the biggest opportunities in Africa and emerging markets in general is don't come in with the sort of the typical European MBA thoughts. And, I teach MBA, I can make fun of 5 pillars all I want. Come in, understand how your customers do business and adapt to that. So in Kenya, it's on the back of a bike in a boda. And I was chuckling about the Trigger story because I knew Grant from the day when he first started the business. Payments is only M-Pesa, it's not credit card. But when we go to Indonesia, we have 46 unique ways to pay, from going to an Alphamart and paying there and getting a voucher to a myriad of wallets. Absolutely. Now, the reason in Kenya we are 15 times bigger than Shopify, in Indonesia, we're now on track to be 100 times more customers, is because we didn't come in and say, you must use PayPal and Stripe, you must use DHL, because that would never work in downtown Jakarta or downtown Nairobi. If you understand how your customers do business, there is a huge opportunity in each of those markets to just listen to that one little thing, make that one little tweak to your software, and you become a dominant force. So in Africa, what you need to understand that emerging markets are so attractive because per dollar, they give you way more revenue in return.
Exactly.
They're a lot easier because they're not homogenized yet. Everyone's not doing the same thing. Twigger as a business started off by giving, because Grant couldn't find better bananas and wanted to get good bananas, then he started giving it to street sellers. From street sellers, he realized that they were making so much money they could supply all of the pick and pay type business, the carry fours, etc. From that, they realized they had so much volume, they could actually lend free of charge stock to different customers. That grew into agriculture and farms and bigger logistics. A lot of those problem statements, I need to come to Africa and build a factory, I need office chairs, but no one makes office chairs. Well, make some office chairs. There's probably a business there. So never see it as a problem. See it as a challenge that if you solve it on the other side of it, you've really got millions of ready customers. So
it's exactly an unfinished business, as I would call it. Once I was working with a company in Cameroon, and that was our first pitch sales. We were in Turkey, and we were trying to send a shipment. It was a commodity, and it took us more than 3 to 4 months to finalize the paperwork for one shipment. And I was very fascinated coming from an area where actually it's a very business friendly, and you don't take 4 months just to ship one container. And I asked there, like, is it common, or there is some special problem? And they were like, no, this is the common here, this is the normal thing to do. Unfortunately, that's how much it takes. It's a lot of paperwork and so on. And then I asked, like, and you do it how? Like, you just apply to the authority, and they said yes. And I said, why there is no one doing a platform to help people to collect the documents in one place and send it instead in the right time? They were amazed. I was like, I'm amazed, because obviously this is a problem there, and how come nobody came to an idea to do it? So yes, there are many problems, there are a lot of challenges, but they are actually, this is a business. This is a business code for everyone, people of Africa especially. You see, yes, many people can see the problem, but salesmen and marketing always see that this is a need. This is I need to do something about it to make profit. This is how your mentality should work if you are an entrepreneur. If you just look at it and say, oh, okay, this is difficult, I can't do business here, I have to leave, you'll never be successful anywhere else, because there are always challenges. But when there are challenges, it means that they are looking for a solution. And if there are still challenges, it means you are first, which gives you, the first hand in the market, whatever it is. So don't look at your challenges, whatever they are. They can be small, they can be big, whatever the challenges you can face as an entrepreneur when you're starting business. Don't look at them as obstacles. Look at them as an opportunity. Try to find solution and try to promote this solution for other businesses, because be sure whatever obstacle you are facing, definitely the other businesses are facing as well. So if you find the solution first from your idea, definitely you are turning this into a profitable business.
It's a lovely, and it reminds me of something Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, and I know that's a very weird source. You think, Arnold, I'll be back. But this is a man who's won Olympia 9 times, became the governor of California, and is worth X $100 million. So maybe he knows something. But he said, I love it when people tell me something is hard or I can't do it. Because I know 2 things. 1, I'm going to be the first, and 2, I'm not going to have any competition.
Exactly. That's exactly very well said. That's it. And I mean, I see it, for example, once I was working with a company in Madagascar, and they've been telling us, oh, we have problem with the roads. You can't send heavy trucks to us because they have problem with the road. I said, okay, great. I understand problem with infrastructure, but what about we build a warehouse close to you, and then we can avoid the transportation. And this can be for all your raw materials, not just for ours, the one we sell. And we can be part of it, and we can profit from it. And they were amazed, like, how come nobody comes to the idea? I was like, of course, because here is the problem, here is the solution, let's work on it. And it always turns into a profitable business at the point that when you are not checking that, how to say, like when you are realizing that nobody else done it before. So at this point you realize, okay, if nobody done it before, then that's going to be me who is going to be doing it and who is going to be profit from it.
Thank you so much, Sad. Thank you, Craig. I think one of the things you both mentioned today was, I'm checking my notes when I'm looking away, validating your idea. And I think that's one of the most critical steps in terms of being an entrepreneur. And I think at times we just fall in love with an idea that we have and a business that we can build, but we don't really check whether people are willing to pay for that particular service or product. And I think that's a very critical step for anyone who is thinking about starting a business or who has a new business. You need to go through that process of validating whether people are willing to pay for it and how much are they willing to pay for it, right? Because sometimes you price things and you realize no one is willing to pay it at that price point, right? One of the things that I've learned from another business person I've been talking to is that when they priced their product cheaper, nobody was buying them. And then they upped the price of the product, and all of a sudden everybody wants the product.
Because it's now high quality.
Exactly, right? Because people are assuming that now that it's expensive, it means the quality is better. Right. And the other thing that Sad just mentioned here, which is one of, I think you have helped me answer a question which most people keep asking me, that why is it that Be Up Next gets mentors from all over the globe and not just focusing in Africa for African mentees? And what I've always said is that you cannot think about solving a problem that you are already comfortable with. Right. So if you are used to knowing that in Africa, to ship something takes 6 months, it's a comfortable thing for you. But if we pair you with a mentor who is in Europe who says that is unacceptable, we need to think about fixing that problem, then the lights come up, right? And that is the reason why we bring mentors from all over Africa and from all over Europe, and they help us to think about problems that we have made our everyday life and we are comfortable with them because that's how things are done in Africa, right? So when we get people who have other experiences, who are in the EU, who are in Asia, who are in the US, they come in and they say, guys, this does not make sense. This is an opportunity for you to sell something here. So now I have answered that question. Thank you, sir. Because people keep asking me, why don't you just stick to South African mentors only? I'm like, yeah, we have South African mentors, but we also have mentors from all over the world to help us think differently about our problems.
And you make a great example, and I'll give everyone a cute little story. Have you ever noticed that when you order off Amazon and other products through DHL, that it comes via Germany? There's a reason for that. Deutsche Post, to increase German economies, provides free postal grants and subsidies for post. And what a lot of business figured, two things. One, the Germans are very good at accuracy and reliability. The post will always get there. And two, they pay 1/10 of the cost. It became more efficient to ship US parcels to Africa from Germany than direct from the US, and 1/10 of the price.
Yes, and exactly. Very simple idea, but look how big is the business behind it. So it's exactly up to the point that, you know, when you are starting with an idea, you have to think about it. And in this world, exactly, when everything is digital, our life is online. The digital business has to, for example, at the beginning of it. So it's definitely going to multiple the reach of your ideas, whatever they are. They're going to definitely make you spread your business faster. But always strategic thinking, like this idea that Craig just mentioned, will help you scale. So definitely about this. And I see amazing people here with all this influential and really great experience bringing here to the people. And I realize that mentorship is definitely going to accelerate this journey. at the end of the beginning, because many people, as Craig said, they have good ideas. There are a lot of people having good ideas, but in order to orient these good ideas, you need someone who had previous experience, who had another different network, who saw other people failing and succeeding, and to tell you, look, I saw this before, so let me help you doing it this way, but it's up to you to decide. But let me show you. It's like, I feel it's like a light you are showing on this path. You are not going through that path. Still, the entrepreneur is going through it. The mentee is going through it. But at least you are showing him what it's to expect and how to deal with difficulties he's going to be facing. So I think this is very important. And you definitely don't need to start big. You just need to start smart. You start with a problem, you start with a need, and work on them.
Thank you so much, Sad. Gloria, can you come on camera and introduce yourself?
Hello. Hi, Pumsile. Hi, team. How's it?
We're good, thanks, Gloria. So I know you joined us a little bit late, so maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and also tell us about your mentorship journey. Gloria is one of our mentees, and she has been matched with a mentor that's amazing with AI and all things digital. And for us, that was a perfect match because Gloria is in the business of helping women in business to digitize their businesses. So, Gloria, maybe tell us a little bit about your business and tell us about what is the value of mentorship to you?
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Gloria, and thank you so much, Pumsile and Be Up Next, for having me here. Now, I always struggle when it comes to the background bit because my background is quite mixed up, but I like sticking to the chunk where I'm doing work with small business owners, particularly focusing on women. I assist them with, with training just so that they can scale up their small businesses with the digital tools that they have at their disposal. So that is what I am doing, and I do. Though my background is in IT, but I found myself here because of the love of entrepreneurship, and I love people, and I love women. So that's why I then entered this space. So I do not call myself an entrepreneur yet. I think I will in the near future, but I do enjoy working with entrepreneurs because in as much as I'm adding value to them, I'm also being mentored, which is why I ended up with Be Up Next. And it has been an amazing experience. I was paired with Alessandro, who's all the way in Rome, Italy, and here I am sitting in Harare, Zimbabwe. And so, we've allowed digital technology to literally break down the barriers. And we've connected so wonderfully. And for me, particularly with the sessions that I've had with him, it wasn't just on entrepreneurship only. Other than gaining the practical tools, but I also tapped into his wisdom, his knowledge, on a social aspect, the social side of things. We had sessions where we would just talk about the mind. We will talk about emotions, because all of this, it's when it's entrepreneurship, it's a full package. It's not just about getting things ticked off the checklist and delivering results and talking about revenue and all sorts of things, but you as a person, you need to be whole, so that you can actually increase your chances of being successful in your endeavors. So it was beautiful. And for me, that's where a lot of the value came in, to say my sessions were very holistic. We were not just looking at the business side of it. And so mentorship, from the months I've been with Be Up Next, have, it has been very valuable. I've changed mindsets in the process. I came in with, certain views, certain mindsets, and I'm leaving now, as a totally different person, because what Alex did was hold my hand and guide me, and got me thinking in ways that I never would imagine myself thinking. Coming into it, I remember having the first conversation with him. The first couple of sessions were literally around just, letting go of fear. Sometimes we're not breaking into the spaces we want to break into because we're fearing something. Usually it's the unknown anyway. I struggled a lot, in fact most of my life, with the low self-esteem. And so it was managing to break through that. So it's not yet 100%, but definitely I look back now in retrospect, I say, wow, in the last 4 months I've come this far, and I have actually managed to take significant steps in setting up my own business. So I am very thankful. I'm very grateful. And mentorship for me is valuable. I'm also a mentor elsewhere, particularly with regards to young kids, who are in tertiary education. I mentor with the GMI and with the Cherry Blair Foundation as well. So it's as you can see, it's a full circle. Whilst because I then joined Be Up Next because I realized, okay, here I am mentoring others, but I'd reached a point where I was starting to feel empty myself. When you reach that point where you feel like you have nothing to give anymore. And so what Be Up Next did was to come and fill me up again so that I could then also pass that on to, people who are also looking up to me. So mentorship in itself, right, guys, it cannot be overemphasized. And I don't think it's got age restrictions. No. You can and should be mentored no matter how old you are, no matter how long you've been in the industry, because there's always so much to learn. There's always so much to discover. And, it's really, mentorship really cannot be overemphasized. So my experience has been really awesome, and I am very grateful. Pumzile, how much time do I have there? Should I delve more into my experience, or I see we've taken a bit of time. I don't want to
We
go
are out of
overboard.
time, but we can give
Yeah.
you an extra 2 minutes if you wanted.
Um, I'll take the 2 minutes.
Okay,
I'll
so
take the 2 minutes. And what I think I will do in the 2 minutes is to just encourage those who are seeking mentorship, young entrepreneurs, whoever is listening out there, young people who are listening in right now, to say, with entrepreneurship, start where you are. The biggest challenge I have come across when I deal with small business owners is always, I don't have the capital, I want to start this, and I always say to them, use what you have around you. The conditions are rarely ever going to be perfect. So you know where you want to go, but if it means you're starting with peeling an orange so you get the seeds and planting the tree, do that, because that's what you have. Those are the resources that you have right now. But you don't lose your vision. You have to keep moving, knowing exactly what it is that you want to achieve. So start where you are. Use what you have, use your story, use whatever skills that you have currently, even though you're working to develop them. Use your network. All of this, when put together, it really counts. And when used strategically, it can actually open up opportunities that you previously had not seen before. I'd also like to encourage the young adults that we have around to say, keep learning. Entrepreneurship is really a big classroom, a continuous classroom. You never stop learning. There's always somebody who is doing whatever you're doing better. Even if they're not in the same line or in the same industry, you can still learn from them, because the journey can be lonely sometimes, So be open to learning. And it's not just sitting in front of your computer going on YouTube. No, we're learning through the conversations that we're having. We're learning, in our day-to-day tasks, you just need to keep your ears on the ground all the time, because people are literally dishing out nuggets that you could take and use, and they are very effective. But if you are not paying attention, you can actually miss them. You also need to be very patient with yourself, because growth is gradual. But I think the problem nowadays is the generation that's coming up, we're microwave society and we want results very quickly. But real entrepreneurship is a slow journey. So you're starting a business, but we want profits now, isn't it? Which ordinarily is not feasible. All things being equal, if you're building something that is going to last, you're going to make projections to say, look, I'll probably become profitable in the next 3 or so years, or 2 years, whatever the case may be, depending on your business. So we need to be patient with ourselves. We also need to find the right mentors. Who offer guidance and can save us years of trial, years of mistakes, because when we are mentored now, we are learning from the mistakes that they have made so that we can avoid them. And most importantly, believe in your voice, believe in yourself. Your ideas matter and your journey matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gloria. That was inspirational. You can all come on camera now. I know there's one person who'll never come on camera, which is level at the background there. So I think the summary of this conversation, it's been amazing. So I think what I've taken out of this conversation is, at the first, is test your idea. If you have an idea, test your idea. And I like what Craig just wrote in the comments there, that even Tiger Woods has 7 coaches. There was a point where I was thinking, do I have too many mentors right now? Because I felt like there was just too many people that I'm relying on to assist me and hold my hand, Validate your idea, go out and talk to people. One of the things that Gloria just said is that you can watch YouTube video. Actually, everybody said in different ways. You can watch your YouTube videos. You can ask ChatGPT, AI. You can do all of those things. At the end of the day, you need to get out and talk to people. If you don't do that, then you're not going anywhere, right? The other thing that Sid mentioned was having an eye for opportunity. So sometimes you have an idea, but your idea is challenged because certain things aren't working out. So have an eye for opportunity and take that opportunity. And the other thing that Zimkita mentioned with regards to community, those are the people who are going to refer you. Those are the people who are going to encourage you and carry you in times where business is brutal, guys. I think everybody has said it. Business is brutal. And you need that community that will help you recharge, right? That will help you get your energy back and go out there and continue doing what you do best. So from my side, this is it. And if our salesperson is gonna kill me if I don't say this. So if you want mentorship, you starting a business, and you know that next year you want somebody to hold you, we are taking applications for the cohort that's starting on the 3rd of February 2026. We open our applications, but whenever we get to them, we get to capacity, we do close applications. We don't take more than 20 people at a time because we are not trying to scale. We're trying to make an impact first, right? So once we get to the 20 for
Pumi, you're breaking up.
So it's been amazing hanging out with you, and thank you.
Pumi, you're breaking up. You might just want to pick up from the deadline of the 20th.
Thank you that you want to leave the entrepreneurs out there with today.
The voice a little bit interrupted, so from the deadline, it wasn't very well heard.
Oh, you lost me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. We lost you at the deadline of the 20-something. So I think you might just want to speak a little more to the deadline and the cutoff.
Oh, okay. I was saying if you're here, you're an entrepreneur, you need a mentor. We have our applications open for the cohort that's starting on the 3rd of February. So our applications, they open until we reach capacity, because our capacity is 20 mentees for a cohort. We don't want more than that, because we value giving you quality mentorship than scaling. So if you are interested and you know you want a mentor for next year, please head out to our website and apply for the mentorship that you need. And with regards to tonight, we are at the end. So I'm going to give every speaker a chance to say one last word, nugget of wisdom. So I'm going to start with you, Zimkita, if you can just share one nugget of wisdom that people can go home with today.
You need, I'm just looking at a fire. It just needs the right coal to actually burn. So that community becomes your fire and it ignites you to be able to put a flame.
Wow, that's powerful there. Thank you. Gloria?
Well, from my end, I would say your journey is not going to move until you do. So you actually need to take the first step, no matter how small it is. It matters.
Thank you. Sad?
Well, from my part, I would say definitely look at your challenges as your opportunities to start your idea, your business. Never say later for starting. Start whenever, no matter how small you are, but most important that you start smart. Validate your idea before starting.
Amazing. Craig?
I think I'll just add to Saad's one a little bit. When the founder of Alibaba told all his friends, they said he was crazy and he shouldn't do it. And one of his friends said, "What's the worst that can happen? You fail and you go get a job." So I also agree, go start your thing. But most importantly, I think, believe in yourself. Know that this is hard. You will doubt yourself so many times. It will be harder than anything you can do, but you can do it. Everything you want is on the other side of struggle. And be kind to yourself. And so long as you keep believing you will get there, know that no one is going to hand it to you. No one owes you anything. It's all you. But it's like the bike at Christmas. You wanted the bike, now ride it.
So there it is. So our summary for the end: start where you are, start small. Your community is the coal that's going to fire you, fuel your fire. Gloria also said start small, start where you are. And Craig keeps reminding us this is our Christmas bike. We wanted it, therefore we are riding it. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you for staying, even though we are 30 minutes over time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to be up next for this incredible opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.